Hey everybody, I logged in a little early because I'm gonna do a little troubleshooting here. How y'all doing on this beautiful Thursday? Logging to Instagram again. It's be my second time doing a live on Instagram, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, I decided to do this live again. Just to highlight a few things because I realized that I had a bad connection. Um, I had a bad connection, so I didn't get to almost everything, share everything that I needed. I think it disconnected on Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not for sure, but one of those. But normally, when I do my lives on Monday, I would come back on Thursday night, Thursday evening, this time between 4 and 6 o'clock, and I will discuss it again. Because I do believe that the information that I'm putting out is important. I got my eyelashes redone today. It looks a little crooked, but that could just be me. So, but hey, I don't think it's 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, I'm gonna start officially at 4 o'clock. So we got a minute. A minute. So then I'll go live on Instagram. Then we'll be live. So, Alexa, pause. Alexa, pause. So, okay. And we are live. Hi, everyone. This is Coach Marsha. If you are still a veteran, where we serve all veterans regardless of character discharge. I'm coming back on my um, Thursday session with you all. On Monday, we talked about the 5 ways to establish service connection. And the reason why I'm back today is because I had network issues. Like my over there on Facebook, I don't know which one it was, but we ended up losing connection. And so I wanted to make sure that the people got the essence of what it is that I was communicating. You're still a veteran. One of several things that we focus on is education and equipping veterans to be able to get benefits that they're legally entitled to, especially those veterans who have transitioned out the military with bad paper. And if you served your country, bad paper are those discharges, specifically bad conduct and dishonorable discharges. Even though it's quite a couple other discharges, but specifically those discharges, right? And so, what I'm here to do today is go, I wouldn't say deeper, but just reiterate that thing. And then for my audience who couldn't get the information on Monday, to let you know, like, hey, tonight on Mondays and Thursdays, that's when we'll be coming to you on Mondays and Thursdays, sharing some form of nugget or some form of tool to be able to ensure that you all as veterans understand little things, because it's the little things. If you don't have an understanding of the little things, you really won't understand the bigger things. And I feel that it's important to understand the 5 different ways to establish VA service connection for disability. And starting out with the first one is to understand like something as simple as like when a veteran, a military service veteran, files a claim for disability compensation with the VA for an illness or disability that resulted from military service, one of the first things the veteran has to do is establish the current illness or disability is connected to the veteran's military service. And this is called simply as establishing service connection, right? And the first one is direct service connection. And it's just what it says, direct service connection. And direct service connection, it means simply that if you're on active duty, all diagnosed conditions are direct service connected. Like whether it's a headache, you go to the doctor for shin splints, continuously going to the doctor for your neck, back, it can be eyes, it can be head to toe, you know, and even to clue out of your skin conditions and different things like that, the different things that we would go through that sometimes some veterans might look over or they might minimize the fact that, well, I don't think this is service connection. And then I wrote some examples down for direct service connection is a veteran served in the military and during that service developed hearing loss due to exposure to loud explosions. And almost any veteran, because one thing that no matter what service, what branch that you served in, each and every one of us is issued a weapon, right? And then you go to these different ranges and you qualify on different ranges. I mean, on different weapons. And some of those are loud. And, they have even though we have earplugs, sometimes, and they have this thing out here that's saying the very earplugs that was issued to us during training don't really work. And so you can have hearing loss as a result, or even suffer for something that's called tinnitus, like constant ringing of the ears, right? And so, as a result of those exposure to the loud explosions, they can provide medical records and evidence demonstrating that the hearing loss is directly linked to that time in the military service, right? You would say, well, Marsha, I never went to the doctor. It's not in my medical records. Like, that's okay too, because it's an opportunity. Hold on. Let me see. Are we connected to like I don't think, but I want to get on over here. Okay, then. I don't know what it is. I'm hoping that I'm on the Facebook. I should be on the Facebook. If not, it's okay. I'll just share it from someone else, somewhere else. Um, but that's an example of direct service connection, as well as like I was saying though, let's say for instance, because most veterans of my era on back, we never really went to the doctors for things because it was frowned upon, right? Like we really thought that it would hold weight against us getting promoted or going to different schools and different things that we wanted to advance in our military careers. So what we didn't do is go to doctors. But it's always you can show I had this job. I was exposed to A through and Z during these time frames. And so like I mentioned on Monday, the burden of proof really holds with the veteran. Like you will have to communicate that to VA, and normally you communicate that through VA by way of VSO, on one of the county VSOs, or a VSO that you're attached to, and VSO is a veteran service officer or a veteran service organization or an accredited claims agent that you are attached to. Just like recently, VA put out, and VFW just had a press conference in reference to scammers, right? That in the different organizations that are notorious for scamming veterans out of their compensation, some of the money from their compensation, right? And at You're Still a Veteran, we're in a process of becoming accredited claims agents, right? And so people say, well, Marsha, are you scamming? Absolutely not. I'm not scamming a veteran out of funding. But however, I do provide a service. And the first order of business in this organization, especially until we become accredited with the VA, is that I always send my veterans out to free, because to 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 work with me, and it's not in all cases. I require a fee, and it's minimal. It's not thousands of dollars. It hadn't even reached it. It's not even $1,000, to be honest with you. But however, I do get results. I was a veterans claims agent when I worked for Virginia Department of Veteran Services. It was accredited with the VA. And after I left that organization, your accreditation is relinquished as well. So I've submitted my paperwork to VA to become accredited again on my own behalf, not attached to any other organization out here. So I act as a research specialist slash consultant, and there that is. And so moving on to the second way to establish VA service connection is by presumed service connection. And presume is just what it says, presume. Everybody might know the word more. I've seen this word float around in the veteran community or on the news or commercial or through your different various social media outlets, or when you go to the VA. It's because President Biden enacted the PAC Act, and the PAC Act has widened the range of presumptive conditions, right? Whether you were in Vietnam War up until the current conflict that we're in, and in that different conditions, you don't have to fight for, but you do have to have a diagnosis. And if you don't have a current diagnosis, that means that you communicate with your physician in regards to why you should have a diagnosis from the different things that you go. But it's so important that the veterans know, I must go to the doctor, right? And communicate these things, because if you don't communicate those things, how else do you expect to become service connected? So it's so important, guys. It's so important. And I know that the VA might have a bad taste in some of our mouths, right? In regards to, we might believe that they don't care. We might believe that, they give these ratings to who they want to give it to, but I have to submit to you that that's not 100% honest, and an honest statement. And I truly believe that it's a process that you're in, right? And we have to work the process. And I believe once you equip with the knowledge and you connect with the right veteran service, you can connect with the right veteran service organization, have the best veterans accredited claims agent, but you still have to deal with the people on the other end. You still have to deal with the VA representative, and you still have to deal with that provider that's providing their assessment of your contention, right? You have to, and so with that, all I's can be dotted, all T's can be crossed, but sometimes a person can communicate what they believe or what we've communicated. So it's so, and I try not to blame anyone. Because I used to say VA sucked until my good friend, that's the owner of My Battle Matters, she worked there. She educated me, Belita, but she educated me um, about the inside and what that looks like. So I have a different perspective, and I approach my process dealing with the veterans differently, right? And I tell people that I take the approach of a squad leader preparing her squad member for promotion board, and a promotion board being the CMP exam. The first two steps are, first step is counseling session, which is simply the consultation, right? And in there, that's when we sit down, we exchange, we have dialogue in regards to what it is that I do, what it is that you require from me, and we come up with a strategy. And in phase two, which I called it the Soldier of the Month and Soldier of the Year board. And in those, that's where we execute that strategy. That's where the meat comes in, the work comes in, right? And then once we graduated out of that, then we graduated to submission, in which I call Let's Get It Done. And that's when we submit all paperwork, where you, the veteran, submit all paperwork, supporting documentation to the VA for your claim to begin the process. Now, that process can take anywhere from 90 days to maybe a year, or possibly even more. It all depends on what's going on behind the scenes. And patience is a necessity. But in that process of waiting, that means that you don't stop working the strategies, you continue to work the strategies, because every little thing matters, right? And then one of my biggest things is to the veteran that I communicate is always explain how this is affecting your quality of life. You don't have to be the hero when you're talking to VA. You don't have to have it all together, when you're talking to VA. Because when you talk like that, guess what happens? You're going to get the results of 0%, not service connected. But clear as day, what you're experiencing is service connected. So it's so important, guys, that you communicate what you're feeling, but with strategy. And that's key. And so that's why it's so important that the VSO you choose to represent you, rather is VFW, rather is American Legion, Marine Corps Association, DAV, Paralyzed Veterans, so many out here. But make sure they're a good fit for you, right? Just because they're tasked to do something, it doesn't mean that they're a fit for you. And so that is so, so important, because for some of us, it's a matter of life and death, literally. So, okay. So, enough with that being said. And so, with presumptive conditions, I wrote down an example for us. A veteran was stationed in the tropical area during their military service, and later develop a condition such as diabetes that is known to be associated with exposure to certain tropical diseases. Since the condition developed within a specified period after their service and is on the list of presumed service connected disabilities, they don't need to prove a direct link between the condition and their military service. So here they have the diagnosis, right? But they don't have to prove the direct link, because it's considered a presumptive condition. So that's key. That's what presumptive condition is. And then, like the one that I gave on Monday, it talked about Parkinson's disease and Agent Orange. And that's for those in our Vietnam era. Okay, the third condition is pre existing service connection. Our pre existing service connection. Pre existing, that means that it was prior to your military service. Normally, what happens is that we, when we decide to join the military, you go to MEPS, you get a physical, right? You see a doctor, they talk to you. Pre-existing conditions will be documented in your records, right? So what happens is that most of the time with those pre-existing conditions, they're usually aggravated by military service. An example that I have here is a veteran listed in the military with a pre-existing knee condition, right? During their service, the condition worsened due to the physical demands of their duties. Let's say, for instance, you're airborne, right? And anybody know, like, I ain't never met a paratrooper that don't have issues with their knees and their back, knees, back, ankle, feet, knees, back, ankle, feet. I have not met one yet, you know, but sometimes you gotta beat them aside the head for them to admit that, like, hey, I got these issues going on, la 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 la, right? And they can provide medical documentation showing that their pre-existing knee condition was aggravated or made worse. Let's say I can't provide medical documentation, Marsha. Then what? Okay, so in your original records, knee condition is there, right? However, in your service records, you don't see nothing, right? When I tell you about that late statement, okay, that late statement, or even your doctor can put in your records, it's highly likely that this condition was directly related to their military service. That's all you need. And if you don't have that, we connect the dots for them. And that's what your accredited claims agent or your veteran service officer will do for you, will assist you with that process. So it's so important. Like what I'm telling you, you could probably, because we're geniuses in the United States Armed Forces, right? All of us are geniuses. Gotta be, you know, you gotta be, you just have to be, right? And in this process, like you just learn how. Then if you're not comfortable doing it yourself, you find someone, a veteran service organization that can assist you with this process, right? Okay. Our next one is secondary service connection. Simply put, secondary. This type of service connection exists when one service connected disability is the cause of another disability. The second disability does not need to be directly related to your military service because it's directly related to the primary, right? But would not have occurred but for the first disability. That's key. Like this will not be going on if it wasn't for the primary condition. An example that I gave here is a veteran has a service connected disability for PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, which causes severe anxiety. As a result of the anxiety, they develop high blood pressure, right? Medical evidence and expert opinions can be presented to establish secondary condition, whereby the high blood pressure is shown to be caused by the veteran's service connected PTSD. Simply put, migraines can be a secondary condition to PTSD. High blood pressure, headaches, primary, or headaches, migraines can be secondary. It's so the medications that you take can be secondary. But like it's so important that communicate with your physician so your physician can in return document properly. Documentation is key when dealing with anything VA, right? And so our last condition, our last not condition, ways to establish service connection is service connection due to injury caused by treatment at the VA healthcare center, right? I know one personally when I first worked for Virginia Department of Veteran Services. This is a real example, right? And I wasn't a veterans accredited claims agent then. I was the admin. So that was in the process of me learning and creating a paperwork. So the veteran came in the office that day. His wife took a picture of him right before he went into surgery. He was smiling and everything, right? Smile and key smile, show like smile. And so when he went into surgery, it's probably like a 4 or 5 hour surgery. When he came out of surgery, he had a crack in his teeth, crack in his teeth, right? And his wife took a picture. Like, wait a minute, look at the picture. Like, your teeth wasn't broke before you went into surgery. Your teeth broke. Now, if they hadn't had those pictures, it was going to be a fight to prove that he went in with all his teeth straight. But because his wife had that evidence, he was able to show that, hey, I ain't go in like this. Y'all got to fix my teeth. And guess what they did? Because he wasn't 100% for dental. He wasn't service connected. He wasn't 100% yet, you know. And so right here, when I say, like, if a veteran is injured because of VA hospitalization, treatment, rehab, or therapy, the injury is automatically treated as service connected. So his broken teeth had to be treated as service connected. And then example I have right here, that example right here, but another example I have is service connection due to injury caused by the treatment in VA healthcare system. A veteran receives medical treatment at the VA hospital as a service suffers an injury such as a broken bone. During the treatment, if it can be shown that the injury was a result of negligence or mistake made by the VA healthcare providers, the veteran can establish service connection for the disability resulting from that injury. And unfortunately, in this case, the VA hospital that this veteran had surgery at did not, they denied it. But that picture, a picture worth 1,000 words, right? They stamped and time, and they couldn't dispute that. She took the picture right after, they stamped and timed. He was still under, but she got that picture like, hold up. And you can see her hand holding his mouth up like, hey, where did this come from? You know? And so as a result of that, his teeth were fixed by VA, even though he was not service connected, because this was the fault, direct result of incident occurred with VA. And so, with that being said, I just want y'all to know, and in this illustration, in this information that I'm providing to you, know that it is important to know that individual circumstances and evidence may vary, and it's recommended that you veterans consult a VA representative or veterans advocacy organization for specific guidance regarding a particular case, because no two are the same. It's different circumstances and all of that stuff. So even though our battle buddies probably went through A through Z, it doesn't mean that that's your outcome. That's going to be your outcome. It doesn't mean that that's your story as well. So it's so important, guys, that you connect with an advocate or veteran service organization, an advocacy organization, or a VA representative that can assist you in this process. There are plenty out here. Just make sure that when you're choosing the organization, don't choose just because your buddies went. Make sure that you vet this organization, you vet the people, and make sure that they are suitable for you. If you feel uncomfortable, like, hey, but like, could you recommend me to someone else? You know, or be like, thank you. No, but I think I want to go through A through Z. It's up to you, because you're the one that need the representation, And it's plenty of representatives out here. Just make sure you choose the one that best suits you and your unique circumstances, right? And so, with that being said, that is all I have for you on this beautiful Thursday evening. And have an amazing day. Bye.